What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are staying safe and you've been doing well since the last time I posted. Now, like I said before in my last video, today's video is going to be about my thoughts and my opinions on the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. And a lot of people have said a lot of things about it, some of which I kind of agree with, some of which I really don't agree with. So I figured I'd make this video here to talk about it and tell you guys what I think of this situation, okay? So without any further ado, let's get into this video. Now, Brian Thompson was in New York City at the time, although United Healthcare, I believe, is based out of Minnesota. They were in New York City for, I believe, their annual investors conference. And he just happened to be walking down the street and he got ambushed. He got ambushed by a guy who was lying in wait. And we now know that the person being accused of being that person lying in wait to shoot and kill Brian Thompson is Luigi Mangione. He is being accused of it. He will be given his due process, hopefully, and then we'll see what comes out of the Luigi Mangione maybe being the shooter and maybe not being the shooter. Now, my opinion on this goes farther than whether or not Luigi Mangione is the shooter or whether it was someone else. So where do we start here? So we got to start with some of the reasons that people are saying this happened for. Now, a lot of people are saying this is an indictment of the healthcare system. The healthcare system is failing. The healthcare system is failing to keep people healthy. They're denying people coverage. You've heard it all. And I agree with that. I agree with the sentiment of, yes, the healthcare system is failing. People aren't getting coverage. People in healthcare that they are getting is more expensive than ever before. I agree with that sentiment, but that's still not a reason to shoot someone down in the street. Although I don't believe that that's the reason that Brian Thompson was shot, and I'll get into that in a second. That's still not a reason to shoot someone down in the street. It's like the worst version of the Old West. Like, you hear all the story of the Old West, like Papa's farm got taken and he couldn't get it back legally. So he decided to shoot the guy, and instead of actually getting his farm back, Papa got strung up because he actually shot and killed someone. That's the first thought I had of like the worst version of the Old West, where like people were just taking the law into their own hands. And this really started for a lot of people, the debate on, does vigilantism belong in society? Or maybe it's just certain brands of vigilantism that we can accept. Now, vigilantism at all just does not belong in society, because while we can understand vigilantism to a certain extent, like your children got hurt, no one's taking your claim seriously, your children got abused, well, whatever the situation may be, the law is not handling it, so you decide to take the law into your own hands. That's understandable, and we've seen cases like that, like an angry father or an angry mother or whatever the case may be is protecting their children because the law won't or can't prosecute the person being accused of that thing. That still doesn't make it right, however understandable that may be, that person hunts down the person that did those horrible things to their children. As understandable as we might all see that, and as understandably as all of us might not shed a tear for that person that lost their life because they committed those horrible acts against that person's children, that still doesn't give you the right to go around popping people, or stabbing people because you don't agree with what they did. Because it comes down to, at least from the vigilantism perspective, the way I see it, is who gets to decide what falls under the cover of vigilantism to be able to go forward and do acts, whether it's shooting someone or taking something back from someone that they stole, whatever the act of vigilantism might be. Who gets to decide what acts of vigilantism are acceptable, and who gets to decide what acts of vigilantism aren't acceptable and need to be prosecuted? And whether Brian Thompson was an evil CEO billionaire or not, although I don't think he was actually a billionaire, his base salary was $10 million, although he was probably making a lot more than that. So he was probably a multi-millionaire, but I don't think he was a billionaire. But that's besides the point. Whether he was this evil multi-billionaire, millionaire or not, that doesn't mean he deserved to get shot down in the street. If he was doing things wrong, if he was doing things illegally, which he was, and I'll get into that in just a second, there are other ways to show your displeasure for the way Brian Thompson is running himself and running United Healthcare as a CEO, and your displeasure with the healthcare system. And shooting someone down in the middle of the street is not that, because it doesn't become about what you say you did that action for. It just becomes about the action you committed. Now, here's what I think is the real reasoning behind this, what happened. Brian Thompson, along with their current CEO and their former CEO, were all being investigated for insider trading. And Brian Thompson, just a few days before this DOJ investigation went public, stock dumped $15 million of his stock and sold it, because he got, I don't know how many stocks when he became the CEO in 2021. He got a number of stocks, and right before this DOJ investigation went public, he sold his stock. And all of these three guys are also getting sued in addition to this DOJ investigation that's being put on. So I think, because we've seen this happen before, Brian Thompson being the low man on the totem pole with the current CEO of the parent company and the former CEO of the parent company, who is now the chair of the board, they decided to take Brian Thompson out. They were worried that he was going to investigate with the DOJ, he was going to cooperate with the DOJ, so they decided to take him out. That's what I think is the most likely scenario that happened. Now, even if it is the other scenario, that he was just a placeholder for one guy's being upset at the healthcare system, or whether it was he was doing bad things with the current CEO and the former CEO of the parent company, and they were worried that he was going to talk, that doesn't give you the right to take him out. Now, I'm not shedding a tear for the guy. He doesn't seem to have been a great businessman. I do feel bad for his family. This is just a situation that shouldn't have happened, but it's happened, and it started a lot of really interesting conversations. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this case. Do you think Luigi Mangione is the shooter, or is he the fall guy like some people say? Let me know in the comments, like I just said, what other videos you want to see me cover. I'm blabbering here, but I make sure I cover everything. What other topics you want to see me cover. Like the video, comment on it, all that good stuff. And until next time, have fun and stay safe.